Another day closer to New York Jets, Kansas City Chiefs football. This is a topic I wanted to explore earlier this week, but now that we have a Jets guest on the show today, I want to react to the report that there's mounting tension in the Jets locker room about this Zach Wilson situation. Let's really start getting into this, guys. Let's roll. Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans.
Field Yates, baby. Field gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show.
Come on, people. Connor Rogers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor gosh darn Sycamore, baby, for me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas.
Good morning. What's poppin', everybody? My name is Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. This is Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We appreciate it. And the topic of today is the mounting tension, apparently, in the Jets locker room. We had a poll up earlier this week. We don't do the Boy Green Daily article anymore, so you guys don't have to worry about that. But we'll still try to work in a poll. And the poll was from Rich Cimini, because if you listen to the Flight Deck podcast, he went on an opening monologue that he knows for a fact that there is tension in the locker room, and he pointed to a variety of factors of that it could potentially implode and things of that nature. So I really want to get into this, and let's bring in my cohort for today's program here on a Friday. It is none other than Ty Butler of ESPN 98.7 in New York. What's up, Ty?
It's a rainy, stormy Friday in New York City. Feels like it's been raining since Rogers tore his Achilles. I don't know if Mother Nature is like kind of telling us something here, but yeah, man.
Yeah, it's like a cruel joke. Hey, by the way, I'll do this. Hopefully, this makes us all laugh. So, okay, let's start the show with the joke, because I'm going to be honest. Let me ask you, Ty. Did you watch Thursday Night Football last night?
I did.
Okay, so if you did, then you guys will already know probably what I'm about to say. At the end of the broadcast for Thursday Night Football, again, you got Herbie, obviously. You got Kirk Herbstreit and Al Michaels on the show. And at the end, they're talking about Aaron Rodgers, naturally, the Packers-Lions game and ownership and all that jazz. And Herbstreit goes, man, it really sucks that Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles. Like, wow, that must really suck for Jet fans. Man, you know what? Where would they be with him? And that led me to a perfect clip that I've been wanting to share for the right situation. Here it is. I'll throw it up on the screen so you guys can both see it and hear it. This is Adam Sandler, and I think he had a perfect quote for this when Herbstreit brought that up.
No, felt really good. Thanks for bringing it up, man. My parents died when I was 10. Would you like to talk about that?
Why would we want to talk about that?
I don't know.
I don't know either, Herbstreit. I don't know either. My parents died when I was 10. Would you like to talk about that? Why do people keep bringing that up to Jet fans? Wow. Must really suck Aaron Rodgers out. Yeah, it does. Thank you. What the hell, Herbstreit? Huh? Ty, what the hell?
You know what else sucked? So their rookie Branch, who had that pick six a couple of Thursdays ago against the Chiefs, and he's been one of the best rookies so far through a couple of weeks of the season. He goes out in a similar fashion to the way Rodgers went out, right? Like he's on the cart, he's limping. And then all of a sudden the camera pans to him on the sidelines. They're taping him up and he's ready to go back in. So I'm thinking, man, if only this would have been the reality on Monday Night Football when Rodgers went out. Like we all thought it was something significant. He comes back because even on the broadcast they brought up, I can't remember what year it was, but it was Sunday Night Football. It was Packers Bears. Rodgers goes out and it looked like he might have been done for the season. He comes back second half, 3 touchdowns. 75-yard touchdown pass to Cobb. So there's history of him coming back from injury, but unfortunately, we've seen pictures, we've seen him on McAfee, and the reality is we got Zach Wilson, who, by the way, could be his final start of his career, man, if this thing goes sideways on Sunday night.
Yeah, it could. And just to add a little bit more to that, so yeah, Brian Branch goes down, and he's clutching his leg like, oh, God. The announcers weren't quite giving the same chutzpah that Troy Aikman and Joe Buck gave the sense of the room of like, oh, boy. But, like, Brian Branch got on the cart, goes to the locker room, and the sideline reporter says, God, he's questionable to return. And Al Michaels, like, eye rolled, like, questionable return. He just went off on a cart before he told the Aaron Rodgers card story. Like, Jesus, he's probably done. And then he comes trotting out. Freaking unbelievable. All the Knicks stories of the 70s and running out of the tunnel. Wait a second. Or Paul Pierce. Hey, Paul Pierce.
Well, Paul Pierce was a farce. Paul Pierce had...
No. That was real in Boston land. We know. That was absolutely real.
He had to use the bathroom, and he was too embarrassed to just say that, so he had the wheelchair come out. And, the rest is history.
Robert Saleh once said earlier a couple weeks ago, don't let facts ruin a good story, Ty. Don't let facts ruin a good story. Because apparently when he was telling his Crow-Eagle story, because, again, I don't have natural knowledge of crows and eagles. He's like, oh, the haters are going to be pecking. They're going to be pecking. And then when we go into a different stratosphere, they're just going to suffocate and die. And I'm like, whoa, that is so dramatic. And then bird experts joined him on a show and said, that is absolutely not true. There are other multiple birds that could also attack it. And then that's exactly what he said. Come on.
It was a great speech. It was motivational. It was excellent theater for Hard Knocks. You got these nerds who want to come in there and ruin a good story. I loved it. The players loved it. The viewing audience, we enjoyed it. So don't let that get in the way.
Absolutely. And I see, so shout out to all of our listeners and viewers, by the way, that always tune in every week. I see on YouTube, we got someone from Israel watching the show. This is a global show, baby. So Jimmy Jet too. Appreciate you. And thank you to everybody who's tuning in. So yeah, normally I do the poll of the day before, but like I said, we had two Chiefs guests the last 2 days, so it just kind of seemed weird going into the locker room tension, so I wanted to wait for Ty here on the show. But like I said, Rich Cimini had this in his podcast. I'll throw it up on the screen so people can see it. He reported that there is clear tension in the locker room, and there's a chance this thing could implode. And again, it's regarding the Zach Wilson situation. Defense doing their job, same thing as last year, and Zach Wilson not doing his, and then, oh boy, this thing could pop. Now, I gave you guys 4 choices. How worried are you about this as a Jets fan? Extremely worried. A little concerned. No worries, it's early. Or total crap, I don't buy this. And a lot of people, that was the third, technically, because the voting was very close. 28.7% are extremely worried. 27.3% are a little concerned. And then 26% think it's total crap. A lot of people thought it was speculation by Cimini. It seemed like he was reporting it. But nonetheless, whatever way you go with it, I don't think we need a rocket scientist to understand that there is clear tension in the room because you saw it on the sideline. You hear it with the defense. Like, there is tension, but you wonder how you fix it. You win a gosh darn game, and all of a sudden you can flip. The only problem is, of course, you're facing the defending Super Bowl champions on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things with this. One, Rich Cimini, my colleague at ESPN, he's not going to report something that's not true. So that is 1,000% accurate. He's in the locker room. He's been around this team for what, 2 decades? 2+ decades. Actually, more than
30+ years. Yes.
Yeah, I was just gonna say more than that. It's been like 30 years. So he's not in there reporting something based off conjecture. He obviously is well sourced and does his job at an elite level. The other thing is the third choice you had on there was, not all that concerned. It's too early. Now that would make sense if this were Zach Wilson's rookie season and we're just looking at a 3-game sample size. Doesn't make sense when we're talking about the fact that he was drafted in 2021. And if you look at, you watch all the games, and I'm sure all the Jet fans on here watch every snap. So we remember it. But if you also take a look at his game log, just to like refresh your memory, there's not one game you see there that's like, oh, okay, showed me a little something. Like statistically, like I see what he can be. It's all based on potential. It's all based on pro day. It's all based on like athleticism and, arm talent, like all these words we use. We've never actually seen it. So that's why it's not too early, because like this defense is living out the same reality that it did last year. By the way, Paul, I was actually at MetLife Stadium this Sunday for the first time since I went with you. Like this is the first time I've been there since I went with you in
Really?
2015,
Wow.
that Bengals game. I believe it was
Correct. Season opener.
Was it Nugent or Bullock who kicked the game-winning field goal?
I think it was Nugent. I think it was
Nugent.
the former Jet second rounder. Yeah.
Broke our heart. So, I mean, history, I guess, is the best indicator of what's to happen. Had my heart broken again on Sunday. But I'm sitting in MetLife Stadium, and I look to my friend sitting next to me, and I'm like, yo, I feel like I'm watching the same game that I did over and over last year. Over and over last year. Jets defense is really good. Jets defense, despite being really good, can't force turnovers. They're dropping interceptions all over the place. And then their offense just is allergic to picking up first downs. To the point where I'm watching games after that, and I'm like, wow, watching offense now blows my mind. I'm like, wow, that's what a first down looks. Oh, touchdown. Oh, 2-point conversion, Jordan Love. Okay. It excites you because you're not used to watching it. The Jets have scored 3 offensive touchdowns through 3 games, which is embarrassing. They got the worst offensive football. And then, Paul, what scares me is the Chiefs. Like, we talk about how electric they are, obviously because of Mahomes and Kelsey, but Pacheco. Quietly, man, their defense is the 4th best in the league this year. And they are, I don't know if it's a product of competition. They played the Lions in the season opener. Then it was, the Jags who have struggled offensively. And then last week it was the Bears who are the worst team in football. But their defense has been elite, man. And Patrick Mahomes, another stat I want to throw at you. He's only been sacked once this year. Only been sacked once. And part of it is like the offensive line, they invested a lot of money into him. But the other part, obviously, if he's elusive and, he can evade the pressure. So that D-line that hasn't been sacking the quarterback is going to have a lot of pressure this week, no pun intended. And then the Jets, man, Zach Wilson, who the hell knows what we're going to see.
Yeah, it's funny. You said quietly the defense is ranked 4. Not so quietly, I've actually got some Jets statistics on the offensive side of the ball. Get ready. I hope you have your barf bag. I feel like a flight attendant getting you ready here. The Jets are last in total offensive yards per game with 225. They're last in passing yards per game with 133.7. That's disgusting. And they're 22nd in rushing yards. That's 91.3. But the most important stat of all, of course, points per game, dead last, 2 touchdowns a game. That's what the Jets are putting out there. 14 points a game. And that's not, as we found out earlier, that's sprinkled in with some field goals and a Xavier Gibson return touchdown with only the 3 offensive touchdowns per game, which takes us to the Zach Wilson angle, which is all of this. You mentioned and highlighted that it could be his last start ever, which is true because the Jets finally added a veteran quarterback to the room in Trevor Siemian. Willie Gay had those comments. That would fire me up. Hopefully that'd fire you up, Ty. Will it fire Zach Wilson up? That it gave me some life this week. You know what? This is the week Zach Wilson will finally get fired up for this Sunday Night Football and drop one of those performances, like 350, couple of touchdowns, and we shocked the Chiefs. Huh?
I love it. Yeah. Despite the fact that he's got 28 career starts, he's completing like 55% of his passes. Thought I saw the stat that since 2010, he's got the lowest passer rating in all of football. So there is a strong case that, at least in modern NFL history, this is the worst starting quarterback we've seen in the last decade plus. So what better way to showcase your talents than Sunday Night Football with the world watching against the defending champions? Exactly. As I mentioned, the Chiefs, top 5 defense, their offense is going to be prolific because they employ the best quarterback in football who doesn't get touched, who does not get sacked, and with the world watching, with the locker room crumbling, Zach Wilson's going to go out there and throw for 350. Don't hold your breath, my G. I want you to be alive to do the podcast on Monday to recap the game. So I would hate to see you lose your life betting money on that and holding your breath for something that I don't think is going to happen.
That's very fair. But Taylor Swift also is reportedly going to be
By the way,
there
can we stop with the I don't think we're getting enough coverage of the Taylor Swift thing. I think the media needs to be on this more. Can we stop? Can we stop? And usually I'm the audience for it, right? Like
you are,
typically
I would say,
it's old man on the lawn complains, and the young people are love it. Can we stop? Nobody cares about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, their non-relationship, because they're not even dating. If this were serious, they would be more secret about it. You see them leaving the stadium last week, and it was like awkward. Kelsey like had
Yeah.
this awkward look where he pans to the camera. They're not really dating. This is all like to get people
They're
talking
playing
about
it up or something?
Yeah, the NFL loves it because apparently
sure.
jersey sales are skyrocketing. It's trending everywhere. and
Ticket
only-
prices? Yeah.
Yeah, which why would ticket prices go up? I don't understand that.
Yeah, it seems odd. It's first off, tickets in general, but I guess how Rich Samini tweeted out and tried to explain it. Apparently, I don't really know anything about Taylor Swift. A couple of her songs will be like, "Oh, I think that's a Taylor Swift song." That's all I know. That's as far as my knowledge goes. But Rich Samini says that a average ticket for a Taylor Swift concert is somewhere in the ballpark of $1,300.
But why
right
would
now,
Why would
Yeah,
that be the case?
I have no idea. But apparently, a Jets Chiefs game ticket is $225. So Taylor Swift fans are like getting it a little cheaper. But the problem is that I don't think they're understanding is I don't believe she's performing. I
No.
believe she's just hanging out in a booth. So I'm really there seems to be something lost in translation here. It appears
You're not going to have any access to her at all. She's not performing. You're not going to see her. Maybe they'll show her on the big screen, but
I
that's
guess.
the most. So you're paying money to go to a football game. You're sitting in traffic and parking lot, trying to get to a
To get a
spot that's going to
glimpse.
take you 2 hours to get out of, just to get like a 2-second glimpse of her on the big screen. That seems odd to me.
Yeah, it does seem a little bizarre. So let's get into this. Jets Chiefs. They have a chance where there's been a lot of hate thrown at them. Joe Namath. Hey, shout out to the Michael K show. That Ty Butler is a wonderful part of there on ESPN New York. As soon as I saw Joe Namath tweeting over the weekend, I was like, ooh, man, Michael K show should probably reach out and just see what lies beneath the surface. And I heard Michael K on the Rich Eisen show. He explained that as soon as he saw that during like a Yankees rain delay, he like texted his producer and said, go get Joe Namath. And then I was like, oh boy, he's going to have things to say. And he blows up all over Zach Wilson, the entire Jets organization, but mainly Zach Wilson. And boy, so there's a lot of hate. This is the perfect fodder, though. Also, as an eternal optimist, the perfect fodder. But like, this is the fodder when it's the us against the world thing. It's the oldest cliche in the book. But this is something easily Robert Saleh could go to against the defending Super Bowl champs. Willie Gay's comments, Namath's comments, like everyone hates us. All this. Zach Wilson, now's your chance to seize the day.
Yeah, Paul, here's
You
the
know,
thing, man. It
yeah.
only works as fodder and motivation and,
Sure.
internal optimism realized when your quarterback's any good. Like the fact that when have you ever watched him and thought, I think this guy gives me an excellent chance to win this game? It's literally never happened, and it's been 2+ years. So, like, could they stumble into a win if things just go crazy? Sure. But, I mean, like, he is at the lowest point of his career. We're already talking about the fact that they could move on from him after this game, which means that he's never at any point in his career faced this amount of pressure. And the fact that he's not going to go in a primetime game against the defending Chiefs and channel in, like, what he's always had, we've just never seen it. Like, that's going to somehow manifest itself. I just can't see it happening, man. I would love to see it. It'd be a great story. The fact that the Jets would somehow emerge through the first 4 weeks of the season, 500, 2-2, and now you got Denver, a winnable game coming up. It would be great.
Yeah.
But I just can't see it happening. Like there's a reason why Garrett Wilson and all these guys are frustrated because they're watching someone who they know if they had just any mid-level replacement, they'd be in a much more superior position because they got all the talent in the world. Despite the fact that their offensive line was much maligned, the offensive line actually hasn't looked that bad the last couple of weeks. He's just the worst quarterback when teams don't record a pass rush win rate. He's got the lowest QBR of any guy in the league when the opposing team doesn't perform a pass rush win rate. So it's just nothing much to see, man.
I see. Well, I will say a couple things. First off, the Jets are on Sunday Night Football for the first time in over 11 years. So come on. Zach Wilson, Patrick Mahomes. I don't know why the ticket prices aren't higher, quite frankly. So, I mean, you have that going for you, which is spectacular. And I see some people are debating this. I don't know if you saw the Aaron Rodgers, Pat McAfee interview, but he seemed to hint on there that perhaps he may make a surprise appearance on Sunday Night Football. Some people are saying he was referencing Taylor Swift, but to me, when I was watching it and how they reacted, I think he's talking about a surprise, like almost a video montage that maybe records secretly with the Jets and plays it. kind of rile up the fans and stuff like that, I would lose my bonkers if we get one of. I'd be like, yeah, this one's for Aaron, baby. Woo! You know what I mean?
Just play before the score is like 35-3, because I don't know if it's gonna hit the
ooh.
same if you're trailing 4 scores. So make sure you play it early in the game, man. That's all I'm saying.
And hey, if they need a quote somewhere in the middle of the game, if things are a little lopsided, I love using this quote. I'll say, how do you eat an elephant, everybody? They'll be like, what the hell are you talking about? One bite at a time, baby. Let's make that comeback, baby. Whoa! You know, toot, toot. Let's go. You know, chugga, chugga. You know, try to make that happen. So, Ty, before we get you out of here, prediction time, baby. Crystal ball it. All your energy. I think I already know where you're going. Jets blowout victory. Am I right?
Nah, Chiefs are gonna win this game going away. I hope I'm wrong. I'll be watching it with the Chiefs fan. But
oh, God. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah.
The Jets, I don't think they have much of a shot. Just keep it close. I think the spread's like 9.5 points.
Okay.
Keep it close. Don't get embarrassed. And that's all I can hope for. I've got no hope, man.
Ty, I will just say this. Remember, we watched this Super Bowl together in your beautiful, I think it was an apartment at the time with your beautiful woman, and now you got a budding family. And we thought it was the greatest thing in our lives because that was the New England Patriots Atlanta Falcons Super Bowl. We're 28-3. It couldn't possibly get any better than this. And then we see the greatest Tom Brady comeback of all time. It was disgusting. I feel sorry for the trash can that I went over your kitchen. Which just that's exactly what I was doing. It was disgusting. It wasn't very appropriate by me in your beautiful home, but I had no other choice. So maybe if it gets nasty, I'll give you a little text while you're with your Chiefs friends. Hey, baby, don't call it a comeback. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. From your lips to God's ears, bro.
There we go. Well, beautiful, Ty. I love us doing this every week. It's great to be reconnected. Used to doing the radio shows together and the podcast together, but it's great that we're still able to do this. So I always appreciate it, brother.
No doubt, man. No doubt. Take care, bro.
All right, thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow morning for Boy Green Daily at 7:30.